Greetings, all you creative people out there. Welcome to episode 7 of And So the Mind Reels podcast. In this episode, I'm going to explore the world of theater and acting. Would I lie to you, or would I just act like it? It has been my experience in the world of theater that a debate will come up from time to time that questions the truth about actors and acting. I have my own truth that I rely upon when I'm acting, and I'm sure others have their own truths. But is there only one? And is it a lie? Is acting simply lying to an audience? We will explore this. That is the truth. Or is it? Hi, it's Lee Mueller, and this is episode 7 of And So the Mind Reels. In this episode, I thought I'd delve a little bit further into the world of acting and theater. Now, I must confess right up front that I have kind of a skewed idea of acting. And that is that I am convinced that it's something that I have done my whole life. I've always done it. I think you do it. I think she does it. And that guy over there, I think he does it. And that is acting. Now, I didn't know that it had a name back then, but the point was that when I think that we're in front of various types of people in our lives, whether it be a spouse, a parent, a child, a grandparent, a coworker, your boss, you play a different part. You play a different role. You act a certain way. Now, I realize there is a famous quote that Shakespeare had about this exact thing, but I'm not going to bore you with it. You can look it up if you want. And some of you are going, "Oh, yeah, he's talking about." Yeah, that's the quote I'm talking about. I'm referring to. Anyway, I always maintain that it's something that I have always done, and it wasn't until I received a role and was in a play in high school that I realized it actually had a name. Now, let me jump back and say this. I've always enjoyed a good debate as well as the next guy or the next girl. And one debate that rears its head frequently in the world of theater types and actors and people at parties and backstage is this philosophical question: is acting lying? In other words, are actors nothing more than liars? Well, I have always found myself on the yes side of that question, on the yes side of that debate. Yes, I have. Why? Well, for one thing, I have always maintained the reason that I was a decent actor is because I was a decent liar. I was an only child. I've talked about this before. This is the reason that my imagination got cultivated, is because I had no one to spend time with but myself most of the time, and my imagination just grew out of that. So being an only child, therefore, I had no siblings to shift blame on. You know, if I didn't want to admit guilt for some occurrence, like how the lamp got broke or why there was a big hole in the garage door, I had to create a story to kind of diminish the truth about what happened. And while spinning my little story, my yarn, I had to sustain a poker face. I could not smirk or divert my eyes. In essence, I had to create a character to pull off the nonsense that I was saying, that I was spewing. I was acting. When I tried out for a dramatics class in high school and I received my first small part in a play, it became quite clear to me that the easiest way to do this part that I had in this play was to pull out the old poker face that I used to use back when I was 6 years old, dust it off, put it on, and spew the nonsense that was written on the script for me. But in this world, this world of theater, this was called something. This was called acting. This was called playing a character and speaking lines. These things that I always did suddenly had definitions, had terms applied to them. And doing this, I was acting just like I used to. Now, it wasn't until college that the acting lying debate thing first came up. You see, in college, you tend to get a bit more philosophical than you were in high school. And of course, you meet people who take their art very seriously. Now, back in high school, most kids got into theater because it was, hey, it's fun, and it's going to be an easy A, and I get to be in the school play, and my parents will come see me, and yada, yada, yada. It is by no means a serious career calling at that point in your life. Now, if you continue into theater, into the theater curriculum, into college, the percentage of people taking it seriously does go up sharply. And it's here with these sharply serious people that you encounter the sharply serious debates. Now, I constructed my first debate at a nice little cast party, and it happened to be with a theater major. Yes, someone majoring in theater who took themselves very seriously, I decided to have this debate with. I relayed the story about, being the only child and drawing the acting/lying conclusion. And I must say, this was met with heated resistance. Utter disdain appeared upon this theater major's face. "No," he said, "acting is about creating truth. Truth on the stage. How dare you call it lying?" Well, okay. I think at some point I actually went and got a dictionary because I needed some evidence to back me up. Some literal translation of the point I was trying to make. I needed an Exhibit A for my testimony. I said, "Here, look, in this dictionary, the word lie, okay? L-I-E, lie, look, see, lie. Intransitive verb, 1, to make an untrue statement with intent to deceive. 2, to create false or misleading impression." There, I said, when we're on the stage, our goal as actors, our intent is to convince the audience out there of something that is not true. If we're doing Ibsen or Chekhov or Shakespeare, we're not the characters. I am not Hamlet. If we're doing Death of a Salesman, I am not Willy Loman in real life, but my intent is to deceive. My intent is to convince you otherwise, you audience, of something that's not true. By definition, by acting, my goal is to create a false or misleading impression to convince the audience that I am Willy Loman. Therefore, I submit to you, sir, that I am lying. But the serious artist, the theater major, said to me, "You have to create the truth in order for the audience to believe it. You have to believe it, and that, sir, is acting." "But," I said, there's a lot of buts being said here, "but," I said, "inherently, I don't believe it. I don't. I know that I am creating a fictional portrayal of somebody. I know that deep down that the words that I am saying, the words that are coming out my mouth, are not my own words. The thoughts attached to them are not my own thoughts. The motivations that make me do things on the stage are not my own motivations. All of these things are written on a page in a script by somebody else. And I just memorized it, and I'm just spewing it forth now and doing it as it's instructed, as I've been told to do, and trying to convince an audience that it's genuine. And as far as we know, Arthur Miller, who wrote Death of a Salesman, wasn't Willy Loman either. The character in the plot came from his own imagination. So, in a sense, again, by definition, playwrights are liars as well. Well, this went back and forth for probably hours and on into the night. Neither one of us convinced the other one of our truth. I think what both shut us up was a third person who jumped in with a story to kind of set the stage, if you will, no pun intended. But it's always that when an argument that someone always kind of comes in and goes, well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you a moral story that you can take away from this. Now, I think the story came from the book that many theater majors and acting type people will be familiar with. And it's a book called An Actor Prepares by Stanislavski. Or it could have been one of his other books. Anyway, the story concerns an actress who had to play an emotional scene on the stage where the character she's portraying receives news that her father died in an accident. Now, after the play was over, the director came up to this actress and said to her that he didn't really believe the emotion that she portrayed in that scene. It just wasn't convincing. Well, the actress was quite shocked. She broke down and she said, well, I'll have you know, sir, that just before the performance this evening, in real life, I received news that my own father had been, in fact, killed in a very similar accident as to the one my character portrayed on the stage. The emotion that she brought to the character was indeed real, and in fact, it was very truthful. Well, the director said, that's wonderful. That's great. I'm sorry to hear, but you, as a human, as the character, as the actress, knew that truth. But you didn't convince any of us of that truth. In the years that followed, as I grew as an actor, doing, various roles and working with various groups and having conversations with other actors, whenever this debate would come up and we'd hash it out, what have you, I have found that everyone has their own truth about what acting is, by definition, to themselves. And I haven't found that one is any truer than the other. And you know what? That's all right. Whatever truth that you draw upon to create your art, whether you're a sculptor or a painter or ballet or jazz dance or modern dance or a musician in a band or a jazz band or a rock band or Norwegian death metal, it doesn't matter. Whatever truth that you have that allows you to create that art, that's what's important. That's what is essential to you that allows it to flow out. Now, granted, you can go to fine learning institutions to study your craft, and you can learn that what it is that you should be doing, you should do it this way, and when you say this or when you sing this or when you play that note, you must hold it thusly, and you must project out, and you must go inherently inside yourself, and the storm of emotions must pour out, and you must do it, just whatever, okay? They're going to try to instill their own philosophies and their own truths into it, and it's fine, because there's people that can use that information and become great artists using everything that was set down beforehand. Just as if I would have allowed many of the acting teachers that I had over the years instill their own truths in me, who knows what might have happened. But the point is that I ignored that. And that was fine. I mean, I did all right etching out a career for myself and following that path as an actor and doing stuff on the stage. I just relied on what it was that I did. And, you can create your own truth in yourself, your own glorious self journey of inner discovery, where you create a truth. It could be nothing more than what it was for me, just a childlike game of playing house or lying to your mom about how the dog ended up with a G.I. Joe strapped to its back. The point is, to be decent at anything is you need conviction, and the conviction comes from the truth that you inherently have that allows you to create the art. And whenever you can muster up that ability, use it. If I am on a stage and I'm convinced that I'm doing nothing more than lying to everybody to convince it, then that's what works for me, and that's what I'm going to use. And whatever it is that you need to use it. And that's what I have to say today, and I'm not lying to you now. So the mind reels.